Good evening and welcome to KTN Weekend Prime. This is the point of news. My name is John Allen.
And I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole. Our sign language interpreter tonight is William Silla. And of course, we have all the latest updates for you regarding the killing of the Kabete Member of Parliament. But also today, I dare say, there's a great story coming out of Western Kenya. We've had a few stories I think I've personally had issues with, witchcraft, but today we're selling the county. Yes. And it's all about bullfighting. I mean, it's a beautiful story, so I'm happy.
All right, I'll be reading that intro so that we're not subjective about who exactly
I have no problem being subjective. My community today is well represented.
But anyway, on to more serious matters. Right. We are discussing the death of George Muchai, his two bodyguards, as well as his driver. Apart from the comprehensive coverage that we have from our team that's been on the ground throughout the day, we've got this hashtag 3am killers really contextualizes what to a lot of people is becoming a trend in Kenya with respect to unresolved murders. It is early days yet, of course, and we hope that this is resolved. But based on the kind of information that we're getting from the ground, it's going to be a very difficult one to crack. But there are various aspects to this that we can talk about right now, including protection of VIPs, the status of our CCTV command and surveillance center. And for that, we have George Musamali, who's a security analyst, also a GSU trainer for about 20 years. We've got Walter Mongare. He's the director of communications at the county government office, as well as the director of the inspectorate, who will be coming to speak to us about the same. Of course, the inspectorate dealing in matters security
at the county level. And I think what's important, like you said, it's talking about unresolved killings. And I think the motto on social media today was, we keep hearing the line time after time that investigations have begun. We will unearth the killers. We will leave no stone unturned. Is this going to be the case that finally breaks that deadlock? Is this going to be the one where we find the persons responsible and finally assure Kenyans of their security? So those are some of the questions I suppose we'll be looking at, and we're inviting you as well on social media at KTN Kenya, at Yvonne Okwara, and at John Allen with the hashtag, as you can see, 3am killers. We're looking forward to your feedback.
Of course, we also have stories like Yvonne mentioned from Kakamega and other parts of the country.
Welcome to the program. Now, a dawn shooting in Nairobi's city centre has left Kabete parliamentarian George Muchai, his driver, and two bodyguards dead. Police now say they are relying on footage from closed-circuit TV cameras which were installed at the scene to aid in investigations into Muchai's death.
The incident has jolted the state to direct its Department of Police to unmask and punish the perpetrators. President Uhuru Kenyatta, in mourning Muchai's death, has asked the police to unravel the dawn execution.
It is an execution that happened right before CCTV cameras managed by the county government of Nairobi. One right overhead the scene that would clearly pick out individuals who staged the cold-blooded murder of the Kabete MP, his driver, and two bodyguards. While another one mounted atop GPO building could clearly pick out occurrences at the scene of murder. Police now say they are undertaking forensic audit of the CCTV footage on Kenyatta Avenue. Nairobi Central Police OCPD Paul Wanyama says investigators are reviewing footage from the surveillance cameras. Nairobi County Government confirmed handing over its CCTV footage from the scene to the national government. This as President Uhuru Kenyatta in a statement asked the police to mobilize all their resources to apprehend the killers.
Tuko na askari wamejaa hapo hiyo area ya Nyayo House. Tuko na askari wenye wako kwa beat wanatembea hapo. Tuko na hiyo CCTV yenye iko hapo. So hii sio kitendo yenye mtu anaweza kufanya na hepe.
The Almighty Father rest his soul in eternal peace. We are urging the police to expedite the investigations.
The CCTVs installed will help us know exactly what happened.
Police reports indicate that the Kabete MP was trailed from Westlands by a white saloon car and were ambushed when they slowed down to buy newspapers at GPO. a masked gunman wielding an AK-47 rifle fired 4 shots at George Mushai's car, killing the driver first, then the MP and the 2 bodyguards before proceeding to pick 2 pistols from the slain bodyguards and a briefcase that was in the car. Leaders visited the scene, Lee Funeral Home where the bodies of the 4 were taken, and Mushai's Kamulu home to mourn with the family.
With the CCTV which have been installed on the city, it should be very easy for the police to track these people and bring them to book.
That looks like a plan. That is a plan. That's not ordinary thugs. And because police were near, what the action they have taken, what this camera is going to show us.
A shaken and distraught Mushai's daughter, who was at the scene, says they were leaving Westlands from a family meeting, heading to their home, which lies along Kangundo Road. The daughter, Mushai's wife, and other 2 relatives were driving in a different saloon car ahead of the MPs. The family would witness the execution of the Kabete MP. George Mushai was a first-time MP elected on a TNA ticket in the 2013 election. He was the Deputy Secretary General of the Workers' Umbrella Union, KOTU.
Despite the minor differences we had, which are normal in trade union movement, but George remained a friend and a colleague. And we have been closely in labor movement, working very closely for more than 20 years.
Mushai's murder comes barely 2 days after the Kisumu Central MP Ken Obura revealed that he will be tabling a motion to have Parliament establish a committee to inquire into the deaths of prominent Kenyans. Samogina, KTN.
And as the news about the death of the Kabete MP weighs on the hearts of the nation, another family is mourning after their only breadwinner died in the line of duty. Diligently serving as Mushai's driver, the family of Stephen Ito Wambogo now speaks out on the painful loss.
The killing of Kabete parliamentarian may have left many in shock. But for a family in Huruma Estate, Nairobi, the news is perhaps yet to hit home fully. 11-year-old Joy Wamboi is consoled by a relative. The news about her father's death came her way this morning while watching television. The brutal murder has robbed her and her younger sister of a father.
Jana sasa tuliongea tu kama kawaida the whole day. Tukaongea 5 na yeye tena 5 jioni, nikamkumbusha ndio tunaenda, nakumbuka leo ni siku ya kesha, nikamkumbusha nikaniambia ni sawa nakumbuka.
Teresia Wanjiro recalls her last moments with her husband. Stephen had left the house early Friday morning to head to Rai to pick his boss, a daily routine that Teresia says he had performed diligently for the last 1 year. Teresia made him his favorite meal that night and headed for a kesha. In the morning,
nikaingia nikaona nikakuwa siko sawa kabisa. Nikaingia bedroom nikaona chakula yake kwanza. Niliona food yake nikashindwa hii si kawaida juu lazima hata kama ameenda wapi lazima akule sapa hata kama amefika saa gapi. Nikaingia bedroom nikafungua bedroom nikasikia imefungwa nikafungua. Ndio nilipata hakuna ni kama hakuna dalili alifika.
She received the sad news via the media.
Nikaenda funeral home. Ndio nikapata ni yeye. Amekufa.
Struggling to earn by working as a hairdresser in a nearby salon, Teresia admits that her husband was the main breadwinner of the family. She has now been left alone to fend for 2 children, but her plea to have the perpetrators of the heinous act brought to book is one that she says will go a long way in bringing peace to her troubled heart. Timothy Otieno, KTN Weekend Prime.
Our condolences to all the 4 families who lost their loved ones in that dawn execution. And remember that we will also be talking about with John Alanamu and his panel. Will also be focusing on the risks that those guarding VIPs take every day while guarding those they are charged with. Remember, the hashtag to use tonight is 3am killers. Let's move away from that now. And to Gatundu town, residents there have complained about the foul smell emanating from Gatundu District Hospital Mortuary. The hospital's management has admitted that the morgue facility is overstretched since it was designed to carry only 14 bodies. As Patrick Amimo reports, the Kiambu County government has attributed the foul smell to decomposing bodies that are brought to the facility by the police.
Gatundu District Hospital was opened in 1966 by the first president of Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta. In the recent days, the mortuary has been an environmental nuisance to residents.
Mortuary inanuka kukosa maji. I don't know wanatumia vitu gani, lakini kunanuka sana. Hata ukitoka kwa barabara nasikia watu bararamishi wanasema mortuary inanuka.
Tunataka hata kama ipanuliwe kidogo.
The Kiambu County government officials have explained why residents occasionally inhale foul smell from the morgue.
Gatundu District Hospital, just like any other public hospital, does not refuse to pick bodies from police. And therefore, when we receive a body from police, basically these bodies are usually quite decomposing because that's a body of a person who maybe passed away some few days ago.
Dr. Njuguna also says the morgue is overstretched since it was meant to preserve only 14 bodies.
On Thursday, the facility had 30 bodies, and therefore we had actually to refrigerate 14 and embalm the rest.
What has been happening, that all the bodies coming within the mortuary, they embalmed first, where a chemical called formalin is inserted through the arteries, and this one helps to preserve the body, and the body doesn't actually need any refrigeration.
Residents of Gatundu have been advised to consider using thicker level 5 hospital mortuary, which has a capacity to accommodate 112 bodies.
We had 3 refrigeration machines in Gatundu. We have decommissioned 2 because they are quite inserviceable, and we're in the process of upgrading Gatundu District Hospital mortuary, having upgraded thicker level 5 mortuary to become a 112 body capacity.
The Kiambu County government says there are plans to expand the mortuary. Patrick Amimo, KTN.
As the world marked the International Zero Tolerance Day on female genital mutilation yesterday, a strange angle to the fight against FGM emerged in Narok County. Women from Sikawa Village, Kayan Ward in Narok County, accusing some non-governmental organizations of forming a cartel to extort money from them in the name of fighting female circumcision. Fred Mortuary reports.
Speaking in Kilgoris, the women led by the Narok County Women Representative Soipan Kudate alleged that the team comprising men and women raid homes at night in the pretext of looking for girls who had undergone FGM or were engaged in early marriages. Early this month, the women held hostage Maendeleo ya Wanawake Sub-County Chairperson Helen Katim and activist Mary Tampushi at Sakawa Village, accusing them of using the police and some unknown human rights activists in collecting thousands of shillings in bribes from the members of the community.
Watoto wakienda kuoana ama akienda kuelewana waende kuoana, anaingilia anakuja kuchukua watoto na anachukua wasasi yao. Sasa anachukua wasasi ya upande wote na anatosha pesa.
I am made to understand that the Maendeleo ya Wanawake chairperson of this sub-county is part of the problem. Because what I'm here also to do is to do a fact-finding, to establish the cause of the problem.
But the Maendeleo ya Wanawake chairperson denied the claims.
Mimi nimekuwa kwa hii kiti miaka 20 na hakuna siku nimekula pesa ya mtu vile wanasema, na ningependa kuambia hawa mwenye yako tayari, hii ni wiki ya pili, waandikishe statement zao. Wasikose kuandika statement, waseme nilikula pesa gani.
Demonstrations were witnessed at Sikawa Village 2 weeks ago, in which hundreds of women from the area barricaded roads, claiming they were being victimized by people purporting to fight the illegal cultural practices.
Masai tunaogopa serikali. Sasa tukiona tu bunduki anaandamana na mtu, tunafikiria ni serikali yote ndio hiyo. Sasa tunaelezwa tu, akipeleka tu akifika barabara anasema utupatie pesa. Kama hamwezi kutupatia pesa, hii watoto wataenda kabisa, atafungwa mwaka 30 ama hata wewe utafungwa 30 ama utoshe milioni 5.
Mimi siwezi rudi nyuma. Hata siku hiyo nikiwa ndani ya nyumba, hata kama wangenichomea, ni haki mimi kutetea msichana. sababu iko kwa damu yangu, siogopi hata kidogo.
So that is the other evidence which is not there, because if they had a particular family or somebody who has been arrested and arraigned in court and the law is very clear, then we could say that indeed they were pursuing something, an anti-FGM campaign in the laid out procedures.
The women allege that the police raided homes in Sikawa village and injured people at night.
Because we have people who have evidence of money that has been taken out of them through use of force of the police.
Kama anakuja na polisi, anatoa pia wa mapolisi. Kama hiyo pesa anasema anachukua hongo, anapeleka wapi hizo pesa?
Kwa sababu nilikuwa na security ya kutosha, tulienda na askari 6 na ni haki kwenda kusema wasichana hawatakeketua. Tulipata wasichana 3, hatukufaulu kupata 2. Wakati tulikuwa tumepata watoto ndio sanduri kaanza.
Kilgoris deputy OCPD declined to comment, saying his boss was away, and attempts to reach the Transmara West Sub-County Commissioner Abdi Hakim Jubat were futile, since he neither picked our calls nor replied to our messages. Fred Muturi, KTN, Kilgoris.
All right, so let's take you back in time to April 2004. You remember the Ministry of Gender, Culture and Sports spent a whopping 50 million shillings when it partnered with a consumer goods company to sponsor a design for a national dress.
And over a decade later, Kenyans are yet to have a popular national costume after the idea failed to take off. Now, Fatma Pole visited 60-year-old librarian turned designer Margaret Adongo and tells the story of Kenya's quest for a national dress.
A culture without fashion is a dead culture, because fashion is about developing ideas, creativity and vibrancy of the people and their lives. The words of celebrated African fashion designer Said Nali Al-Fadi, challenging Africans to try harder to market Africa on the world stage. 1 year later, in 2004, Kenyan leaders ditched their suits and took to the catwalk in African attire to signify the beginning of the search for a national dress. And they did find it. Unfortunately, the idea failed to take off. But in Kenya's growing fashion industry, designers are increasingly drawing upon their heritage to design clothes that fuse both Kenyan and Western styles, most of them still hoping that there can be a national attire.
Of course, in different places.
60-year-old Margaret Adongo, a librarian turned designer, is determined to find a national dress at whatever cost. When we arrive, Margaret and her team are busy experimenting with different African fabrics.
If Bombolulu can make things like this, Maridadi fabrics, this is from Rivertex in Biashara. And so this is local. Yeah? Why can't they make something and call it a national dress for Kenya?
But it is the search for a Kenyan national attire that has always been closest to her heart.
It distressed me quite a bit that the idea that I had given that should also be shown to Kenyans, along with what was being shown at that time, was not shown.
Margaret was part of the design team that was picked by the Ministry of Gender, Culture and Sports to design Kenya's first national dress. She has been trying for decades to come up with a national dress, and in the late 1980s, she organized the first ever national dress competition at the KICC. She settled on a flat fabric which she says can be worn in different ways.
I'm telling Kenyans to embrace it.
Margaret has also written a book dubbed Proudly Kenyan, Gifts, Souvenirs and Attire from the Heart of Africa. Kenya's golden girl Lupita Nyong'o, who she hopes will one day wear her designs, graces the cover. Over the years, we have seen Kenyan leaders don attires with the colors of the Kenyan flag, whether in accessories or as the complete Kenyan look. Margaret now challenges President Uhuru Kenyatta.
There is a way that a flat fabric itself or a dress can unite the people of Kenya.
A quick look at the Kenyan streets and you are met with jeans, suits, but just what is the distinctive Kenyan look? Do Kenyans still have hopes of having a national dress?
Nafikiri ingekuwa timely na publicity ifanywe, watu naona sasa hata watu ya maboda boda wangefurahia kwa sababu hata wameanza kupeperusha bendera za marangi ya Kenya.
We really don't have to put on a cloth to show that we love this country. First, let's start by loving one another.
But for Margaret, it has more to do with peace, love and unity for a nation than it has with fashion.
It's high time that we have Kenyans in something that identifies us as Kenyans.
The design, which is hand-printed in the 4 colors of the national flag, that is black, white, red, and green, is convenient, not imposing, and therefore quite practical. Margaret's only dream is that Kenyans will be able to adopt it as the Kenyan national dress. Fatma Pole, KTN.
So would you don the national dress? Let us know on our social media platforms. The search, meanwhile, continues for that. That will be popular with everyone in the country. Now, the windfall from compensation for those whose land was taken for the construction of the standard gauge railway has had a rather interesting effect on the economy of Taita Taveta County. Now, wives and parents of some men are accusing their menfolk of either disappearing with or wasting the money that should have helped to pull people out of poverty. Francis Mtalaki reports.
At Maungu and Voi area, the true picture of the standard gauge railway line is slowly shaping up. To many of the beneficiaries of land compensation here, the standard gauge railway was one project that they thought will bring joy by transforming their lives, but it has come with an interesting human twist to the story. At night, Voi town is full of activities, with commercial sex workers flocking many of the clubs to reap from the hidden abundance of cash. Many of the SGR beneficiaries are said to have migrated to Voi town, where they are now enjoying with 1 ton abanton money that they received.
Mwingine ilisemekana alienda akatoa karibu 1.5 direct kwa bank. Hata bank manager anajaribu kumweleza ya kwamba achukue kidogo kidogo ndio azidi kuendelea na mradi yake, ama kama anataka kulipa mahali mtu ambaye amenunua kwake shamba aweze kutoa pesa directly ndio iende kwa hiyo mtu, lakini mzee naye akaenda akachukua pesa. Lakini naambiwa baada ya siku 2 mzee alisema hajui mahali pesa iko.
Chakota atatumia hicho.
Abigail Wavoda from Sambwenyi area in Taita Taveta County is one of the many residents here whom even after receiving compensation are still languishing in poverty.
Jana alivyochukua na mimi nilikuwa sijui kama alichukua. Sasa nikija nikumuuliza hizo pesa amezitumia.
Kamwambia mama, hebu muulize hiyo pesa imetoka au bado. Akasema hapana. Ngombe muite umuulize pesa iko wapi, watu washalipwa.
The son is said to have received $500,000 shilling, but he allegedly denying that he ever got the money, saying that the money was not in his account. But after a few days later, Abigail discovered her son's account where the money was deposited had only a balance of 130,000 shillings.
Alinunua pikipiki ya second hand. Hiyo pikipiki akaulizwa na mamake, hiyo pesa unapeleka wapi? Akamwambia mamake hiyo pesa huwa anapeleka kwa account, atuelewi inapelekwa kwa account au anakula, atuelewi.
Abigail was forced to recover the remaining amount of money before it went down the drain. Her dream of building rental houses now hangs in the balance.
Zile zingine nataka nizifanye mradi lakini naona hata hazitoshi.
It is a pain that she says it's hard to accept given the state of poverty they live.
Kamwambia babako ni mtu alikuwa kinywa pombe sana, lakini hajalala nje hata siku moja. Hata anywe pombe kwa kiasi gani, lazima hakikishe iko nyumbani. Alivyo mwambia hivi, nikamwambia sasa pesa zote hizo umezitumia, si afadhali ungejenga nyumba yako, singesikia uchungu. Lakini pesa umeziharibu, hakuna kitu umefanya.
However, some of the beneficiaries have been able to change their lifestyle and living conditions, even as others are still waiting for compensation. Francis Mtalaki, KTN Weekend Prime.
Okay, let's shift gears to that story that Yvonne Okwara has an interest in. And every year, titans clash in Kakamega. The fiercest bullfighters are a heritage of the Idaho and the Isuka of the Luya community. And this year was no exception, as 2 prized bulls, Simba and Messi, contended for the highest honor. As the saying goes, there could only be 1 bull in the Simba. Dorcas Wangira covered that showdown.
Early morning, Buhungu Stadium, Kakamega, 2 titans will clash
Messi, the undisputed reigning champion, and Simba, the seeming underdog who floored the heavyweight Maspana. Only one will emerge as the most valiant bull in Kakamega. The stakes are high.
Waamuzi ambao tutaamua ni Simba ama Messi. Mimi nimetoka Kaeka. Mimi ni shabiki wa Messi na niko na hakika mimi ni shabiki wa Messi na tutashinda Simba.
Mimi napenda Simba, ni ng'ombe ya boma, tani ya mzomba.
Crowding into the ring is part of bullfighting. A bull is a symbol of power to the extent that, unknown to you, the two bulls which have been fighting here were a community against a community. It's not an individual against an individual. When you own a bull, the moment it leaves your compound and leaves the gate, it belongs to the community. So it was a community here called Mashtao today who are fighting with another community called Vamaha.
The fight ensues. For a moment, Messi is floored. The underdog is prevailing.
Mimi napenda Simba kwa venye huwa inapigana, inatuletea sifa na nishaipenda tu.
Mwenyewe mili yake ni mfupi, mnono na ng'ombe mrefu, haiwezi akamshinda kwa urahisi. Kwa expectation kama ng'ombe ya pembe refu inashindwa kumattack juu pembe zake ni fupi, zimeangalia kando.
Messi rises again, more further, more vigor. A winner.
Na Simba ingine ingali nyuma. Ijamenyenu na Simba yangu na Messi na Maspana.
His owner, CID Vitute, claims his prize, a walk of honor, money and the grand title.
Shinda nimefurahi. Kwa jili sasa mimi ndio sasa nimechukua ligi hapa sasa. Hakuna sasa ng'ombe nimenishinda hapa. Sasa hiyo ndio ilikuwa ya mwisho nimemalizana naye hapa. Nimeshindwa.
The fans too ecstatic. They color the town with celebration as they lead the champion home. What is it about bullfighting year after year that continues to draw a massive following? Concerns continue to grow over safety, choice of venue and tapping revenue from the fights. At the end of the day, Messi, one valiant bull from Kakamega, has emerged the winner. This fight has been significant for both sides. And at the end of the day, regardless of who loses or who wins, we are still children from the same house. Dorcas Wangira, KTN, Kakamega, Kakamega.
Thank you very much, Dorcas, for making Yvonne's weekend. I think we can wrap it up now. The bulletin, let's just wind up and go.
We can, yeah, because now you see people from the village are now saying, finally, I have represented.
Yes. But one question though, is there a season
for
bullfighting?
Yes. So when you decide to tembea Kenya, please, that is something you should take a look at. And we must make money out of it. Like the little girl in the video said, inatuletea sifa.
Now the Council of Elders has today ousted its leadership in a highly charged meeting that was attended by over 1,000 men. The men-only affair was held at the Nairobi Shrine, where those present voted for new leaders through acclamation. Now, the rather angry lot accused the current leaders of commercializing Nairobi Cheke at the expense of the welfare of the Ameru community. KTN's Central Kenya reporter Carol Derry now reports.
It was a meeting like no other. Over 1,000 men from the Ameru community thronged the Nchiro Shrine on the Meru Maua Road. No woman is allowed within the premises. The crucial matter at hand today being the now controversial installation of Senate Majority Leader Kindiki Kithure as the Ameru spokesperson. They said Kindiki, who is from the Rakanidi, was unprocedurally installed without the involvement of all concerned parties of Nairobi Cheke. Further, claims arose of the current crop of leaders not putting the interests of the community first. This called for an election of new leaders, one done by way of acclamation, where Lino Kadera was chosen as the chairman.
Tutahakikisha tutaunganisha Wameru wote, constituencies zote. Mimi sijakuja hapa kutafuta mali, nimekuja hapa kuweka Njuri Ncheke wasi.
The recent installation of Isiolo Governor Godana Doyo as an Njuri Ncheke elder also attracted a fine of 100 liters of pure honey, a bull and a ram from the ousted leaders led by Fares Rotere.
Na tukiwaona mmoja anaanza kuenda kombo, tunamtoa mara moja tunaweka mwingine.
Rotere and his allies who have been at the helm of Njuri Ncheke and their supporters did not attend the charged meeting, and those who dared were met by an angry lot. The animosity was rife. More supporters of the ousted leaders were turned away. The agitation stemmed from accusations that Njuri Ncheke had been commercialized at the expense of the interests of the Ameru community. After the elections were held, Meru Governor Peter Munya made a grand entry to the shrine. As with every traditional ceremony, and especially one that only admits men, there was plenty of meat to go around. Those present resolved to continue supporting the Alliance Party of Kenya, APK, saying though they support the Jubilee government, the newly formed Jubilee Alliance Party does not enjoy a similar support from the people of Meru.
Tuendelee kufanya kazi na hiyo serikali iko. Tutaendelea lakini hatuvunji chama.
Those present urged the Ameru community to unite. The larger Njuri Ncheke sought to stamp its authority by replacing the officials linked with the now controversial coronation of Kindiki Kithure as the Ameru spokesperson. It is to be noted that Njuri Ncheke gives political direction to the Ameru community, and therefore many await to see how this will pan out. Carol Derry, KTN, Meru County.
A sporty day it has been. Good evening and welcome to today's edition of KTN Sports. My name is Moses Wahisi. Still in matters rugby, KCB Rugby Football Club continued with the unbeaten run today. The Bankers handed Strathmore Leos a 38-17 beating at the Ruaraka grounds in a Kenya Cup tie. In another energy-sapping encounter, Oscar David produced a man-of-the-match performance as he guided a total Nondis to a much-needed victory over Black Blood.
As the hunt for the fourth position in the Kenya Cup intensifies, Nondis took on Black Blood with an intention to strengthen their position on the table. Though the tie kicked off on a slow pace, Nondis managed to bully off Black Blood to a 5-0 lead. This, however, did not deter the varsity side's effort to get back into the match, as they cut the deficit through a penalty to make matters 5-3 going into the break. In the second half, Nondis made clear the intentions of winning as Oscar Dennis added 5 points to give Nondis a 10-3 lead. Minutes before the final buzzer, Nondis made 10 points to hold on to a 23 win. In another thrilling encounter, leaders KCB made clear their dreams of lifting this year's cup as they taught Strathmore Leos a rugby lesson. The Bankers emerged 38-17 victors. Impala Saracen thrashed Catholic Monks 54-0, while defending champions Nakuru RFC outclashed Lunchbar Queens to a 41-10 win. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
To matters athletics now. Elgeyo Marakwet has picked its representative for the next weekend's National Cross Country Championships. Peter Mase from Turkana alongside Irene Chebet and Purity Cheporil confirmed their tickets after good posing results during the North Rift Central Region Athletics Kenya Cross Country Championship. The event was held in Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Peter Emase picked up from where he left 2 weeks ago when he won the Discovery Cross Country Championship in Eldoret Town. The hilly terrain, which hosted today's competition in Iten, did not pose any threat to Emase, who broke away in the third round and maintained a 50-meter gap ahead of the pack to finish the race in 37 minutes, 2.1 seconds. He defeated Ronald Kemoy to second place, while Christopher Ruto completed the podium lineup. Irene Chebet from Elgeyo Marakwet reigned supreme in the senior women's 8-kilometer race. She upset renowned Purity Cherotich and Gladys Chesir. Chebet was in Kenya's team to the 2010 World Cross Country Championships in Poland, but she finished about 3 seconds behind Chebet. In the 6 kilometers junior men's race, Nicodemus Kipkurui from Samburu defeated Robert Kiprop and Aaron Diema. Daisy Chepkemei topped the junior women's race ahead of Lilian Kasait and Flomena Cheptum. Joshua Kimboy, KTN Sports.
The Nairobi International Junior Tennis Championship came to an end Saturday afternoon, with Tom Flores taking the honors in the singles category. Elsewhere in swimming, the annual Nairobi Swimming Association Gala entered day 2, with the host of swimmers trying to outdo each other in search of the Africa Championship qualifying times.
With a place in the African Championship in South Africa at stake, more than 200 participants took part in the Nairobi Swimming Association Gala. Michael Michuki from Makini School gave his competitors a hard time as he splashed his way to victory in the 200-meter category. In the ladies under 11 years, Braeside Victoria Okumu beat 10 other competitors to carry the bragging rights. Other winners of the day included Chantel Karaoke in the 12 to 13 years 200-meter category. Andrew Amarema was victorious in the 14 to 15 years 200-meter category, while Saleh Nabil and Manuel Karanja won in the 12 to 13 years and 10 to 11 years category respectively.
We are working towards perfecting the team that will go to South Africa, and part of this gala is actually a trial gala for those who will go to South Africa.
In tennis, it was a battle for bragging rights as the Nairobi International Junior Tennis Championship came to an end. In boys singles, Tom Flores from Netherlands served to victory as he beat Jan Bondaveski from Russia 6-3 and 6-3. In the girls' final, Carolina Silwanowski beat Lexi Stevens to take the girls' honors. In the doubles category, Frederick Jacobs and Nicholas Rene carried the day with a 2-6, 6-3 and 13-11 win. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
All right, so we've come to the end of our bulletin. We'd like to take a look at your feedback today. Our hashtag tonight was 3 a.m. killers. Your thoughts tonight, Moses Njoroge says, how heavy is the stone that they always say will not be left unturned? The case is always the same.
I trust Kenyans to find humor even in the darkest of situations. Chris Maingi says CCTV cameras and systems are as good as the people manning and controlling them, something that we talked about during that discussion. Yeah. We know now that an engineer is manning the command center that has our CCTV.
Right.
Margaret Mwangi says the stone. Oh, okay, this is another one about stones and being unturned. Let's look for someone else. If someone can be killed alongside 2 armed bodyguards, what could the point of walking around? What could the point be of walking around with guards? I guess the frustration being that not only is it seemingly futile, but people are also afraid for their own security. If a person of the stature of a member of parliament would be dispensed with in such a brutal fashion.
It's true, very sad. Alamin Kimathi reminds me of so many other people who've been murdered and whose murders to date remain unresolved. GPO Oulu, Oscar Kingara, and somebody else responds on Twitter and says those are the ones we can name. Hundreds of Kenyans die in this country, and because they're not prominent in one way or another, this doesn't get to be their story. And so, like we said, insecurity, amongst Kenyans, just a huge concern. And we sincerely hope we're not getting back to the dark days of assassinations. Many would remember that time as a time of great fear in this country.
Great fear. Yeah. But anyway, we will continue discussing this issue in security. It is something that has been on our agenda here at KTN and will continue to be with respect to what's happening in this country. But for now, it's time to wind up this bulletin. My name is John Allen Amu. Thank you very much for joining us on KTN Weekend Prime. Join us again tomorrow with the lovely Yvonne Okwara.
Right. Checkpoint is on tomorrow. You don't want to miss that discussion. It'll be interesting. My name is Yvonne Okwara Matole, our sign language interpreter, who is our William
sign language.
is the sign language interpreter tonight. Thanks for watching. Good night. See you tomorrow.